Welcome to learning how to make a cover and a closing page for your state report A to Z book. I opened up the A to Z book document, and yours is going to look really different when you open yours because you will have A through Z all the way here, but you won't have them all looking the same. I just did that so you could see all the letters, and as you scroll down, it goes all the way to Z over here. But yours should all look different, and they should all have different information. But you should clearly be able to tell what letter it is. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z. I'm going to show you how to make the cover first. So a cover of a book is super important. You know, we shouldn't judge covers of a book, but oftentimes the cover of a book is what either makes you want to pick up a book to read or not pick up a book to read. So we want your alphabet book to be a book that everyone would want to look at because it's so unique and interesting. So how you do this is, doesn't matter what page you're looking at. Let's say I'm looking at page E. And if I'm ready to make the cover, I just go to this plus sign over here on the left-hand side. Hopefully you can see that. Let me see if I can. There we go. So I go over here to the plus sign and I push it, and it just says click a new slide. When you add a new slide in right here, it's going to do a couple things. It's going to add these titles or text box things. You need to click on them and delete them just so that they're out of your way. And then you have a blank slide. And you can see that it put my blank slide in between E and F. That's not a problem because, as you've learned, you can drag and drop where you want it. And because this is my cover, it would be at the very beginning. So drag and drop it to the very beginning. You can pause this video anytime you want to catch up, or you can watch the whole video all at once and then figure out how to do it. Either way, it's up. Whatever you decide is fine. So here I am. I'm going to make my cover. A couple things to remember about your cover is it needs to have a title. So that's going to be really important. In fact, maybe I will just really quickly list out for you the things that have to be there. Okay, it has to have a title. It has to have written and designed by, and then your name. Obviously wouldn't be in all caps. Sorry about that. So your first and last name. Okay. It has to have those two things, and it also has to have at the bottom written and designed by your name, and then it needs to have this information. Miss Fisher's 5th grade class. We've done this before when we've done projects, but you would put this school year as well. Okay, you're not going to put it as bullet points. I just wanted to put those in there for you so that you would understand. Those are the things that have to be on there. So let's talk for a minute about a title. Some good names or good ideas for a title on an alphabet book would be something like take a trip through, I will say, I don't know, let's do Maine. Take a trip through Maine from A to Z. That could be the title. Take a trip through Maine from A to Z. It could be something that rhymes. It could be come to Maine with me and learn from A to Z. Come to Maine with me and learn from A to Z. Doesn't matter. That's a pretty long title. It really could just be something simple like Travel Colorado from A to Z. Right? It could be Utah's Best from A to Z. It doesn't matter what your title is, but you'll notice that all of my titles have had a couple things in common. It has had this phrase, A to Z, and the name of the state that I did my report on. Those things are required in your title. The name of your state has to be there and spelled correctly and capitalized, as well as A-Z. So usually from A to Z is a better way to say A to Z, but those things have to be in your title, okay? So how would I go about doing that? Well, I would want to find a really great backdrop for my state here. And in this situation, you could just insert a couple different photos and change the color of the background, but it might be best again in this situation, to change the whole background by choosing an image and doing a Google image search. Now, if I'm looking for a cover page, I might want something like to search for something like this: beautiful Maine, or beautiful Vermont, beautiful Utah, beautiful California, and then just picking one of these photos. Remember, I'm going to have to put a title on it. I'm going to have to put my name and stuff on it. Also, I want to pick something that resembles that state to me. So like, oh yeah, these are really great pictures of these cats. I have no connection to cats in Maine, so that is probably not a good choice. When I did go to Maine, though, I have been to this exact lighthouse over here. So for me, I'm like, well, that reminds me of Maine. Seeing the coastline, it's not super warm there all the time, but it does have a beach. Anyway, so I'm going to click that one. And if you remember right, it's going to put it back here. Oh yeah, I've been to that exact lighthouse. In fact, this is where I dropped my phone in the ocean. Ugh, that's a long story. But anyway, so that looks like Maine to me, the state Maine. So now I have my picture in here. I'm going to go ahead and insert a text box, and you know how to do this because you've been working on your book. One thing that I want to point out to you is you really need to pick colors and text that are going to stand out. Some of you are picking colors, like if I were to pick white right now and to type through it and then move my box, the white over the clouds, I can't read that. That is not a good choice right there. So I'm going to go back to having it be black. I think that would be the best thing to do there. I can't get into it without double clicking. There we go. So I'm going to make my text black right now, maybe bold. And I don't just want a boring font because this is my cover page. Remember, I want it to be very interesting. So I'm going to call mine Travel Through Maine from A to Z. And that's my title. I'm going to make it definitely bigger. And I'm going to pick maybe a font that I like that might look good with the picture, or look, there's one called Lobster. Actually, Maine is really well known for lobster, so that would be pretty cool. I could also just say this part, Travel Through Maine, right? And I can move this around. I can make it bigger. I probably want it quite bigger, actually. Maybe I'll make it go across the sky. And maybe I want to space this over a little bit. I'm pushing the space bar. No, it doesn't like me. It doesn't want me to, not it doesn't like me. It doesn't like you to space that over. That's interesting. Anyway, I'm just kind of playing with it. I'm going to see what looks good. You're not just going to get this done in one quick shot, so don't plan on that. That's not ever a good way to go about a project like this. So I'm just going to kind of play around with it, decide what I like or what I don't like. Maybe I need it a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit bigger over here. Now, I don't like that it's tabbed over, right? So there's a lot of editing and changes that I'm making to make my cover look nice. That should be, there we go. So I just had to push backspace a lot, or the delete button. Okay, so I can center it. You know that you can move your text down. I can tilt it. That might be pretty cool. Travel Through Maine, and what's the last part of my title supposed to be? From A to Z. So maybe I'll put that down here in the ocean right here. From A to Z. And this one, maybe I want it to be bold. Maybe I want it to be lobster as well. But maybe I want to change the color on this one. Okay, I get a lot of choices here. That's the part of the creativity part. I get a lot of choices, and I can center it. I can make my box smaller. Remember, when you make a mistake on here, it's totally fine. You just get to play around with it. So right now, my title says Travel Through Maine from A to Z. Just like that. Now, that's not all of the things that need to be on there. Remember, it has to have a title, has to have written and designed by. So I go to another text box. Maybe I'm going to put it down here in the corner. And I'm going to write, oh, look how dark it is. I definitely don't want it black if it's down there in the dark, so maybe I'll change that one to white. That's better. Written and designed by. Please capitalize the W. Please capitalize the D. You need those to be capitalized. Written and designed by, and then I would push enter, and then I would put your first and last name. Okay. First name capitalized, second name capitalized. You could move that over a little bit. Right? It could look like this. I could decide, oh, I don't actually want it to be white. I actually want it to be that orange color to have it match. Okay, so written and designed by, and then it also needs to have the Miss Fisher's class thing. So you would insert another text box. You could put this in a corner down here. You could move it and just put it right by this one. I probably will put it right underneath this one, but you can do whatever you want based on your picture. Remember, your picture is going to be different. Sorry, that is my phone ringing. That's so fun. Sorry about that. Let's go back into this. So it needs to have the Miss Fisher's 5th grade class right here. Remember, it's going to automatically do black, and it doesn't pick up very good with black, so I'll change it to white, and I'll type Miss Fisher's 5th grade class 2019-2020. Now, if that's not your school year, then obviously don't put that school year. But for the first group that's learning this and getting to watch this video, this is your school year. So that is what you would write. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. And maybe I want it to be a little bit lower. Okay, or maybe I want it to be a little more connected to that. It doesn't matter. You need to make that decision for yourself and what looks good. So you also might change your mind and go, I actually think that should be a little bit bigger. So you just have some fun. You can tilt the boxes. You can keep them straight. It doesn't matter. I would not cover parts of your picture that are really important. That's why I put something through the sky. I didn't want to cover the lighthouse or the ocean, because that's what reminds me of Maine, is the Atlantic Ocean and lighthouses. So these are the things you have to have. A title has to have the name of your state, has to have this from A to Z. It has to have this written and designed. The W should be capitalized, the D should be capitalized. You should have this colon right there. Your first and last name should be capitalized, and then it needs to say Miss Fisher's 5th grade class and the school year right there. Okay, so remember, you can move this around, but we want it as the cover to be above the letter A. So it would look like this. That is how you make a cover for your A to Z book. In the next video, you'll find out how to make a conclusion page. Don't forget what you've used as your cover page, okay? And we will see you in the next video.